Hello, scholars. This is POL452, Organizational Theory and Design, and this is the critical assignment video. So where I'm at is I'm in week 8, and we're going to discuss the critical assignment description and the critical assignment rubric. So as we open up the critical assignment description, I'm going to walk you through that, and the intent of this is that we get a good understanding of what the critical assignment is, because for many of us, we'll start planning this early in the class, where we're going to apply many of the concepts that we're learning through this class to the critical assignment. So the earlier we start thinking about the critical assignment, the more we can figure out our topic or our organization that we're going to use. And then once we have that organization in mind, each week as we as more of these theories are introduced to us, then we can start thinking to ourselves, does this theory apply or does not apply to my organization? And we could start almost building our critical assignment. If not conceptually, we can start modeling it so that we could eventually have all these ideas, put them together, and create our critical assignment. I believe it is in week 3 of this course. We're asked to present or to, there's an assignment where you're going to tell me what organization that you are going to be utilizing. So not only will it be good that not only do we have that week 3 deadline, but the earlier we can get this concept or our organization together, the better. So let's go through this. What we're going to do is we're going to identify a public agency, and to start off, it has to be a public agency, but it can be on any level of government, either from the federal, state, or local government area, for use for your organizational analysis. And you're going to write an analysis paper of at least 6 pages, and that's 6 pages of writing. That doesn't include your title page, an abstract, any exhibits, or your reference pages. We need to use APA style formatting, and we need to have a minimum of 5 sources in addition to your text. So we need 5 outside sources at a minimum that we are going to reference throughout this. So the first thing we're going to do, the first portion of this writing, is that we're going to profile our organization. You're going to need to describe to the reader who this organization is and what this organization does. So what is the mission statement or the stated purpose of the agency? And for many of our public sector agencies, there's going to be some sort of mission statement, goals, vision statement. Sometimes there's maybe a tweak on words with mission statement, but they typically have some sort of overall mission of the organization. And then you're going to want to tell us or describe to who are the clients. Who does this agency work for? What kind of structure does it have? Is it functional, product division, multi-divisionals does your organization have? We want to create a diagram showing its structure, especially if it has subdivisions, divisions, subunits, just kind of the hierarchy, the structure of the organization. And we want to see a diagram of the organizational chart. Who's the leader of this organization? Who's the department head? What departments are there underneath? What is the breakdown? How many people does the agency employ? And what is the span of control for the top level executive managers? So really, just a snapshot of this organization so that the reader will get a good understanding of not only the mission of this agency, but how it's going to try to meet its mission through its divisions, through its makeup, through its internal structure. Then the second part is agency actions. Identify at least 3 new reports within the last 2 years that discuss your agency or an action it has taken. Summarize the issues being raised, who was supportive, who was critical. So this could obviously be your sources that you're going to be citing, because you're going to come up with 3. You're going to do some sort of search. You're going to find 3 recent articles about your agency. They can be critical articles. They can be or ones that support it. And what we want to do is just talk about what has your agency done, what has been advertised, what has been reported upon from your agency in the last 2 years. So we want to stay current with this. Our third portion we have here is we're going to talk about the civic responsibility in the Christian worldwide view. Does this organization have a published code of ethics? If so, what issues are addressed in its code? How does the code protect the public's interest? And second, discuss the agency's mission in terms of civic responsibility through the lens of a Christian worldwide view and bringing accountability for the public interest. You're going to find that with many of our public agencies, that this is going to be widely open nowadays. We live in a very transparent world. We've had a number of public agencies that have done some very horrific, um, very unethical actions, and because of that, your ethical agencies, your smart, functional agencies, we live in a world where it's full disclosure and full transparency. So you're going to find this should be fairly easy to find where the code of ethics, uh, the transparent portals that many agencies use, the full disclosure of public information, and the accessibility of this is typically pretty common. And that's all by design. It's so the public can have trust. If we are fully disclosed, if we are fully transparent, then that adds a level of validity and trust to the organization and to its shareholders or to the citizens that it provides services for. So I want to talk about that. And then finally, it's the analysis. This is going to be the body of your paper. And what you need to do is you need to be able to concentrate on these three and answer to these. Consider all that you have researched on your organization. Write an overall analysis of your organization's effectiveness in accomplishing its mission. Second, how does its organizational design assist in accomplishing its mission, or how does it hinder it? And finally, include at least one recommendation for organizational change that could increase effectiveness. And remember, this might be a very difficult for one of you, or for many of you, because oftentimes the concept of effectiveness and efficiency are counterbalanced against one another. Remember, one of our pillars of public administration is that of effectiveness and efficiency. But oftentimes, in public agencies, we give up one for the other. And if you kind of think of it in a broad scope, for a public agency to be very effective, chances are it would add more employees, it'd add more services, it would have more people doing more for the citizens. But we realize that with every employee and every service we provide, there's a dollar amount that's attached to that. And at some point, there isn't enough dollars for all these employees within our government systems. So what we oftentimes is we give up effectiveness for efficiency. We have employees do more with less. We have one person do two functions because at least we can still provide the service. We can be very efficient while still having a layer of effectiveness. And you'll see that in many of our government organizations. Many of them are very minimally staffed, but yet still try to provide a wide variety of services. And that could be something that you could definitely add into is that uh, could your organization try to change from being completely efficient, providing the most amount of services for the least amount of money, and maybe it can change it to a model of effectiveness where we're trying to look at. And then for many of you, it will also be difficult is how would one measure effectiveness? This is the big question that everybody has between the public sector and private sector. In our private sector world, effectiveness and efficiency are often measured in the output, which is a profit. How profitable is our organization? How much money is our organization able to make? If we add more employees, does it increase our profit margin? If we have less employees, it's a balance. But it's all based upon that profit margin and that bottom line at the end of the day. In contrast, in the public sector, we don't have a bottom line. We aren't here for profit. So we base everything on our services we provide. And when you aren't working for a profit, sometimes that service to provide it's a hard thing to objectify and to measure. And so, how can we measure the effectiveness or the efficiency? And maybe that's something you can add into your analysis is the measurements or these benchmarks that your organization is measured. How can we say that your organization is effective or not, and what is it measured by? So when we put all those ideas together, you can see that your paper is going to grow fairly rapidly. I could see that first section, creating a profile of your organization. That's going to take a little bit to explain all those pieces. The actions, you're going to research these three reports in the last 2 years. That's going to take up a fairly significant portion of your paper. You're going to talk about its ethics statements, its civic responsibility, how it incorporates a Christian worldwide view. You can see that that's a portion, and then you're going to add this analysis. So you have just more or less the foundation, which is the first one, creating a profile, and then followed up with the actions, the civic responsibility, and analysis. So if we start thinking early on of what is the organization that you're going to choose, you can see where you can then each week as we introduce information to you, you can start seeing if it applies or not to your organization and if it'll be a part of your critical assignment. Now, the one thing I want to add is that you don't necessarily need to choose a organization that is a stellar example of efficiency and effectiveness. For many of you, if you do work in the public sector, your organizations might not or fall short, and that's just the reality. I know that I've done nothing but work for government organizations through my career, and many of them were very inefficient. Many of them were very ineffective. Many of them had multiple holes when it came to organizational structure and design. So don't think that you need to find this perfect organization. If you have an organization that struggles in many aspects, that would be a great one that you can apply the concepts to. And oftentimes, when we start looking at things conceptually, we see that our organizations typically do have some holes and some problems with them that we can recommend some changes in the final. So finally, before we end this video, I wanted to just hit the rubric. The rubric for our critical assignment is going to look very similar, I believe, to the rubric that for many of your classes here at OPS. We use the same scale of the beginning, the developing, the accomplished, and the exemplary stage, and then it's broke down into different performance levels, and each one of these have a corresponding score. So for your rubric is going to be based upon your writing, and then there's a breakdown for each of the exemplary, accomplished, developing, and beginning of what you need to do to hit those benchmarks. But ultimately, we're all going to be shooting for the exemplary, and you're going to be judged upon your writing, the organizational profile that you describe of your organization, the research you put in formatting, your analysis that you include. We're going to talk about our civic responsibility and Christian worldwide view that you included that. So you can see that all that adds up to be 200 points for our critical assignment. So 20% of our grade. And of course, we need to pass the critical assignment to be successful in this course. So the major assignment in all of our classes is our critical assignment. So that's a breakdown. I just wanted to discuss this with you. If you have any questions at all about it, early in the game is the best bet. Contact me. Let's discuss what issues you have with the critical assignment. Oftentimes it's just choosing an organization that will fit. If you are an individual that has trouble thinking of an organization that fits the criteria, get a hold of me and I can give you some suggestions. But I think it's fairly straightforward. Find an organization, describe it, talk about where it's been in the news lately, talk about its ethical standards, and then break down the analysis. And it should be a very straightforward critical assignment. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, get a hold of me. I look forward to reading all these critical assignments, and bye for now.